Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 19th hole. We are live, as always, on In Between Media. Make sure you like this video, like a bunch of videos on that page, subscribe to the channel, and jingle that bell for notifications so you get notified for when we go live on the channel. Everything from sports to lifestyle and the in-between. This week we have the Cognizant Classic, formerly known as the Honda Classic. New sponsor name, same great tournament. Carnage is afoot. The Bear Trap is in West Palm Beach, Florida at Jack Nicklaus's course. This is going to be a really tough slog for these guys as we kick off the Florida swing. Let's hit it. And we're popping bottles on the 19th hole. Shout out to everybody who watched us last week. We had a big show last week. A bunch of viewers. I hope you followed my advice and Connor's en route to some money. We got some Cali Gold sparkling wine, 19 Crimes of Snoop Dogg on the label here. Yeah, we are popping bottles. The bubbly is flowing. Wendy is on time. Our fearless leader cashed with me. There's Wendy. Royal up there in Calgary. Let's fucking go. Everybody's here. Connor.
I'm here.
You had a nice long day at work. You cashed a top 5 ticket on Sammy Valimaki. We both played that pair in a lot of DFS lineups. That was profitable. But of course, the story is the big siesta himself, Jake Knapp. I mean, how good of a nickname is that? The Big Siesta. He's got that long, languid swing, carbon copy of, let's picture if Freddie Couples was 6'4". That's exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah, that really was beautiful. Cool, holy cow.
It was almost identical. And that is, I mean, his name is Knapp. He gets his first win down there in Mexico, the Big Siesta. Love it. We're big fans of Jake Knapp. We were before. We've been talking about him since the beginning of last year.
We were talking about him when he was still bouncing at that nightclub. I mean, that's how invested in
pretty much. No, your idea is clearly fake.
I just love it. He finished up and then cheers, brother. I mean, it was nice to get back in the positive. We've had a rough few weeks.
Yeah, the way I've been budgeting my bankroll, that ensured that I would do no worse than break even for the rest of the season. And that's huge. That means I don't have to change the way I'm budgeting. I don't have to get more aggressive by winning a 40-1. Obviously, it's nice. What it means is that even if I get shut out for the rest of the season, it's still not a loss. That's the size of that victory. Because we have about 30 weeks left. And we got a 40-1 win. Plus, I think I got plus 850 on a top 10 for Jake Knapp. So
yeah, I think that's you ended up.
That works too. That works for the bankroll as well. Because we got the same line for Jake Knapp top 10 as we had Tony Finau to win outright. And we called that out. It was a bogus line. We knew that Tony Finau wasn't in the right form to repeat here. And everything we said came true, guys.
Honestly, like I went back and reviewed a bunch of the stuff from last week. Like we were pretty much spot on. I think the only thing that we really screwed up on was Taylor Pendrith, but we got
Pendrith screwed that up for us. We had him both top in our stat model. He was on good form. He had some really bad blow up holes, which is why I waited double bogey avoidance last week, because it happened to all those guys. All those guys had their blow up holes. Jake Knapp just had fewer of them. But Pendrith, well, yeah, but unfortunately Pendrith did have his blow up holes on Thursday and Friday and ended up missing the cut and killed some of our DFS lineups. At the end of the day, though, a win's a win.
Hell yeah. No, I mean, look, we get good course fits every week that don't come to fruition. I mean, it happens. It's the ups
golf.
and downs.
It is golf.
The nice thing was the longer shots that we thought were good course fits, wham, came through.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
So
all
nice.
in all
So
a good
nice.
all in all a good week. Like, and nothing to complain about.
No, we're celebrating. This is actually pretty good sparkling wine, by the way. If you haven't had it.
Have you had the Martha Stewart joint on that same?
Yeah, not as good. Not as good.
I think it's just funny as shit to see Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg in a display together.
And only one of them is a convicted felon. What does that say?
Truth. Before we get into anything, we don't talk about Liv very often on this show.
Oh baby, I like the hat choice.
We would be remiss. Anthony Kim, after a 12-year hiatus, will be playing
AK belt buckles. Let's go
on the Live Tour this week. I am pumped. I can't wait to hear him talk, see what's up. Like, always loved watching him. Loved his style. Loved his vibe.
Great golfer. My God, was he good back in the day before he just got burnt out with it. Like, that lifestyle is not easy on certain people, and it ate him up. And he admitted that. He's public about that. He put his mental health above all else. And now look at him back. I guess in a practice round last week, he shot 59. I'm pretty sure he can still swing the club. You shoot any course anytime, and you got game.
It's all over Instagram right now. He's got that patented choke down swing still rocking and rolling. He's got a little different move at the top, but I mean, it looks good, man. He's striking the ball well, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, fuck them books.
I heard
them books.
I heard DK's got some juicy numbers on him too. I don't know that we're going to see a win right out the chute, but 150 to 1, I'm sure you can find some pretty juicy numbers for placement, even on the Live side.
He wakes up on Friday. He wakes up on Friday in the top 10 of the Live talent wise. Like outside of these top 5 guys, it's a bunch of just has-beens. So Anthony Kim, I think, is going to be a very big get for the Live Tour, because people like us who fanboyed for him when he was on the PGA Tour, we're excited to watch him play regardless of where it is. We wanted him back in any way, shape, or form. We were deprived of the Anthony Kim experience for so many years. And now that he's back, I'm ready to root for him. And if that means supporting the Live Tour a little bit, by all means, it's more of a support for Mr. AK himself.
Yeah, not to go down that rabbit hole, but I mean, it seems like monthly anymore we're losing more and more favorite PGA guys and former PGA guys over to Live. So I mean, I don't know.
Eventually, it's all going to come back together, so I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, I'm in the mindset nowadays. I'm going to watch good golf where I watch good golf, and I don't necessarily care what the logo on the bottom of the screen is. I know that's not always a popular take, but
yeah,
I like.
You got yourself a brewski there.
I did.
Dark. Is that a dark ale?
It is Smooth or Die, a peanut butter milk stout from Drecker Brewing in Fargo, North Dakota.
Fargo.
It's definitely tipping the scales with a higher ABV. So though it's not whiskey, I will be acting like it is here shortly. So
it is thick.
It is thick and peanut buttery.
Oh, that sounds delicious. Yeah, I'm a sucker for anything peanut butter, especially with stout, which is already going to give you some of those chocolate notes and a little bit of coffee behind it. Oh, that's the match made. That's the combo I'm always looking for. And in a beer, that sounds like something I'm gonna have to get a hold of.
I'm telling you, like, if you don't know what Drecker is, look it up. They're out of Fargo. They do some wild shit with beers, like really crazy, like lactose sours, lactose IPAs, a lot of lactose type stuff. But
is that close to Brainerd, you think?
Just a hop, skip, and a jump, don't you know?
Oh yeah, you betcha. All
It
right,
might
let's
actually be
hit the
closer
caddy
to the
notes.
Canadians than it is to me. So get some of the Canadian listeners to run down there.
I mean, as hyped as I am for the big winner with Jake Knapp, I mean, it was Sunday was just a perfect day all around. Went up to the mountains, got to see the snow, got to get lunch with my mom up at the Highlands Ranch Resort at Lake Almanor. This is like we're talking like it was a perfect day. I didn't even find out Jake Knapp won until right after we got done with lunch and we were just playing in the snow, and I was like, it's official. I found one little spot of cell service, and it was like right as they finished up. And you sent me the message like, all right, Jake Knapp, he pulled it out, and I was like, all right, I'm glad it wasn't just a sweat the whole time. It sounds like he pulled away at the last few holes to make it real.
It
But
was.
we get yeah.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to say it was wild. I think it's one of the rare times where neither one of us was in front of the TV because I actually was busy hitting golf balls onto the field at US Bank Stadium on Saturday night. So we were driving back Sunday, and so both of us were kind of not quite following, and it was like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, and it parlay is really nice into one of my favorite events on the Florida Swing. It's not a favorite because for the PGA Tour players in the past, because it used to be in a spot on the schedule where if they're playing here, that means they're going to play 5 straight grueling weeks on the Florida Swing, and so a lot of the top guys would skip the Honda Classic. Well, this year they moved it up so that it was for the Players Championship. That's big because that means Rory's in the field, which means Connor's all over that shit. But PGA National is carnage. Like this place is tough. It's got the bear trap. It's got the little baby bear trap on the front nine. This place has got teeth. It's got a little bit of wind. It's got tons of water. Look out, EVR. He wasn't going to hit it into the Pacific Ocean last week, so he was safe last week. Played well this week with all the water, all the sand traps. We might want to take a far push away for EVR, but I think overall, when we get to the caddy notes here in a second, that Connor is going to have a lot of good things to say about PGA National. Am I right? Yeah, is that a good teaser?
I mean, I have some stuff to say, and then Lord knows you have stuff to say.
Oh, guaranteed.
Oh.
Caddy notes.
That was creepy. Like the like seductive look, and you tipping that champagne flute. Ugh. We go back and edit that out.
Go,
Seriously, I have chills still. That was very off-putting.
Jack's place.
Dude, can I just say I hate the name of this tournament now? Can we just call it the Honda? Is that cool?
PGA National still calling it so we have Fantasy National and PGA National. Fantasy National, the website where we do our modeling a lot of times, they're still calling it the Honda. And then it's just because the Honda, with all these years of it being sandwiched between the players and the Arnold Palmer, and these guys are just burnt out by the time they get to if they played all those tournaments, they're playing 5 weeks in a row, and it's too tough on those guys traveling all around the country all year. And so the Honda, after 42 years, pulls out last year. And then, of course, PGA Tour is like, well, we can't have that. And they get a new sponsor, and then they do what probably Honda's been asking them to do for years, which is move the tournament up so we get some better players in it.
Which sort of worked. We have some better players.
Yeah, a couple.
Anyways, so the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches, PGA National Resort Champions Course, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. We are par 71, 7,147 yards. Fairways and greens are Bermuda. There are about 60 bunkers in play here. Water or out of bounds as well in play on 15 plus holes. There is a ton of danger, especially on the right side of the course. Definitely would prefer a right to left ball flight if we can get that. Well, let's see. We have the Bear Trap, which claims more victims than possibly any other 3-hole stretch on tour. That's hole 15, 16, 17. 2021, famously, not a single player in the field made it through without bogeying at least one of the holes, which was kind of crazy. On the front side, like Bo alluded to, we got the mini trap, which is 5, 6, 7. So birdie streaks are a rare commodity here when we get into DFS. They have made some adjustments to the course. So they've lengthened some of the fairways. They've removed a few of the greenside bunkers. But nonetheless, it's still going to be some tight shots coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Hole 10 has gone from a really tough par 4 to probably a fairly scoreable par 5. I would think that that's going to be one of the better birdie opportunities these guys are going to have. Distance is going to be an asset, but again, we're looking at a lot of accuracy, especially off the tee and on approach. You will need guys that can scramble and get up and down, but predominantly you don't want to be too terribly far off the fairway here, no matter what. Like I said,
then you get stuck.
Whether it's the rough or whether it's the actual out of bounds or water areas, like you're not going to be in good shape if you're missing fairways. So definitely looking at guys that can keep it under control. Weather is something here that tends to be a bit of a problem, mostly in the form of wind, but last I looked, it's not terrible right now. Subject to change, of course, typically does here. So that's something to, maybe get a little bit of a look at Wednesday night before lock. Just try and get yourself set up for the best weather and tee rotation. Because, it can definitely make a massive difference. Not only in terms of the actual wind itself, but this place is already reportedly playing really fast in comparison to what it typically does. So we get a little bit of wind, a little bit of heat. We're going to dry out even more. Going to make this even tougher to hit fairways, tougher to hit greens. So
carnage.
That's what I know about this place. But this is I'm not normally a big carnage guy. I'm not like Bo. If you've watched the show before, Bo loves the carnage. I like the score fest, but this is one of the carnage type tournaments that I do enjoy watching. It's a good watch.
And going back to like 2 years ago when they had that freak thunderstorm on the back nine on Sunday, and it looked like Shane Lowry was going to run away with it. And when that thunderstorm hit, Lowry floundered and Sepp Straka caught fire. It's like raining sideways and hailing, and Sepp Straka's out there sticking it to 2 feet on the bear trap. And that's like, it's so riveting to watch guys get challenged on every shot, especially on Sunday when that they're going to come to those 3 holes. And if you don't manage those, anything can happen. Literally anything. You could have guys birdie through those 3 holes, even as unlikely as it is, to birdie 2 super long par 3s over water and a long par 4 with water all along the side, all the way from tee to green. There are guys that will do that and make up so many strokes just on those 3 holes. And then even if you par all 3 of those holes, you're gaining strokes on the field. So I'm here for the carnage, but I'm also here for the quality golf, the guys that rise above and to the occasion so that we get the best spectacle. This is one of the more entertaining tournaments because, up until the last putt is holed out, we don't know what's going to happen. That's what I like, is even if some guy is coming into the bear trap with a 3-shot lead, it is not safe by any stretch.
Yeah, and there's a lot of artistry that goes into navigating around this course too. So it really is genuinely a good watch, especially if, God willing, the PGA gives us good coverage of the guys that are in contention and are hitting those good shots.
Yeah, right.
So cross your fingers that we get good coverage, and this is a good tournament to watch. But to round out the course info, I would guess the score is probably going to be somewhere in the low to mid teens. I'd say 13 to 15 under would be my guess. cut should be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of +1 to even. It's generally a little bit higher than that. It's been, I think, +2 and +3 on average for the last like 9 years, but I think we do have a little better field. So I think we're going to get a little lower score. Chris Kirk won last year, 14 under. Sepp Straka, like Bo talked about the year before, 10 under. Matt Jones, 12 under before that. Sung J M in the lowest score in the, I believe in the last 9 years, actually at -6. And then Keith Mitchell the year before that at -9.
Cashmere Keith.
I kind of like him this week, but we'll get into that.
He's in, yeah. And one more thing is on the winning score is you can probably chalk this score being 4 strokes better because of hole 10. That was a hole that was averaging 4.2 strokes as a par 4, and they only added 20 yards to it. So it goes from one of the tougher par 4s on the PGA Tour to one of the easiest holes, period, relative to par. Because 20 yards to these guys means absolutely nothing, and you're giving them basically a full stroke under par average. This winning score might be 4 strokes better than average because of that hole going from a 4 to a 5. That's all I want to say is between 3 and 4 shots better. So I'm going to look in that 15 to 16 under range. But yeah, it's semantics.
Well, I'm with you. I mean, honestly, like I was going to pin it down at the end of the show like we always do. But yeah, 15 is right where I was thinking too. And the other thing too, hard to quantify it because it's been lengthened and widened in certain areas. But the adjustments to the fairway, I think, do help with some of the scoring as well. So I do think this is going to be a little bit easier, and that is super relative. I mean, this is a very, very difficult and tricky track to get around, but I do think there's going to be some better opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, we may see some deeper scores. We'll see.
Yeah, let's go deep. All right, well, let's twirl some clubs. I want to bet on some golf. We're kind of on. If we do it 2 weeks in a row, it's called a winning streak, and it has happened before. So let's keep it rolling.
Like a 6-week one not too long ago.
I know. I mean, if you don't know that we're the best by now, then you need to catch up. So here we go. We're going to go for 2 outrights in a row. Not for the first time, but it will be not the last time either. Chad, Kyle, and Tanner were all on Jake Knapp last week.
Oh, God. It's my boys. They all got the same fucking haircut.
Same haircut. Jaeger bombs.
Not now.
Let's start right at the top. I mean, our guy, Rory, fresh off of his charity win last night at the Match 9.0 over Rose Zhang, Lexi Thompson, and Max Homa. Looked pretty good out there playing around a Muni course in Florida. He wasn't very far away, or basically the same zip code still. He didn't have to go anywhere to be here on time for this tournament. He lives in Florida anyway. It's not like the whole middle to northern Florida area isn't very big. There's lots of golf courses here. It's not far from Jupiter at all. These guys that live in Florida, they're gonna know this course pretty well, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the problem with Rory is he doesn't put together 4 rounds. Has been the biggest issue. And in a tournament like this is I think this is one of, if not his worst course performances in it, like career wide. That was the worst way to say that. Let me try that again. So I think that this ranks up there as either the worst or in his top 5 as worst courses for Rory's performance. So
however, last time this course was a par 71 was the year he won in 2012. Interesting.
2012 Rory, I'm in.
Yeah. He dominated that year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Like in a nutshell, plus 650, that's just not enough. I mean, I really just don't think he wins here. I definitely think he competes. It's Rory McIlroy, for God's sake, but as an outright, I just don't love it. And then when you start looking at, placement bets, you're not going to get a good enough number to make it worth it. So I'll probably take some shots in DFS, but that's about it for Rory.
All right. So moving on from Rory, we have a pretty steep drop off after Rory on this card. I'm going to start with Russell Henley, and I know you're fading Russell Henley. So let's take out the knives right now and tell me about Russell Henley.
I'm not fading Russell Henley betting. I'm fading Russell Henley in DFS.
Oh, to the chalk.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. No,
I was gonna say we're looking for a guy with accuracy, and he's among the most accurate players out there.
Yeah, there's nothing I can say to dissuade somebody from betting him. I like the number. I'll have him on my card. Wrote him up. So there's nothing I'm going to say about Russell Henley to dissuade anybody. DFS, like I said, that's going to be a different story. I think the price and the chalk is maybe a little bit much on Russell Henley. So that's where my fade comes in. But the outright, I have a lot of interest in the outright.
Okay, and same number, Eric Cole, runner up last year. Very, very strong player here from everything except for off the tee, which is going to be important here, obviously. But the rest of his game is so good that, I mean, just find the fairway, Eric, please. Just find the fairway like he did last year. He was in a playoff with Chris Kirk last year and damn near pulled it off.
Yeah, and Eric Cole, I think we're bordering on giving him too hard a time about his off the tee game because, like lately in particular, he's actually been right around that flat to. I think the best he did was last week, actually, where he gained almost 2 strokes off the tee. But the approach game has continued to be pretty solid. He hasn't had one of those like crazy standout, like gain 5-6 strokes on the field type of weeks, but it's been good. And the overall ball striking with him is just immaculate. Putting
Number three.
Yeah. And you think about this, he runner up last year here, and we thought he was a good course fit then. And he's got a full year of tournaments under his belt that he's done nothing but get better and better and better and better. So I love Eric Cole this week. He's one of my favorite bets.
Swimming. All right. And I'm looking at a number here on a guy who pops up in my model really high. I'm just not that high on him in particular. Ben On at 2,800 plus 2,800. Is that short? That's got to be a short number for Ben On. I know he's good, especially from tee to green. But really, are we doing this with Ben On? Like this guy in the approach buckets we're looking at? Not good. Not good at all.
I struggle to understand where all the love and hype and short numbers are coming from. Like,
how is he 9,500? What has he done? Well, how is he plus 2,800 betting? It doesn't make any sense.
If you look at what he's done over the last like 6 starts or so, he's got a T2, a 4, a T16, but then he's got a T66, a T31, a 43rd. Before that, it was a T37. I mean, if you can get a decent number on a Ben On like top 20 or top, even if you want to gamble a little bit and do a top 10, I'm in on that. But in terms of like Ben On as an outright, that's an incredibly short number for a guy that is better.
I'm looking at 7 golfers that are cheaper than him on the betting slip here that I'd rather have. 7.
Yeah, he's not going to win. I can't see a situation where Ben On wins this. There's just way better people to your point, way longer numbers. So yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Berger we talked about before the show as being a stat darling. That's about right. He's number 2 in my model, and of course he shows up anywhere where accuracy is at a premium. But what has he done for us lately? Daniel Berger's form has not been there. Are you with me on the Daniel Berger fade at 35-1?
I am a fade on Berger, not necessarily as like staunch fade as you are. I think I think what he has is a little less um, a little less talented version of what Rory does. Like if you look at what Berger's done since he's
Mhm.
been back, it's been like one round in each tournament that's really screwed him.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't seen anything to show that he's going to be able to put together 4 scoring rounds, and this is probably not the best course to try and get that sorted out.
Yeah.
I do
So
like
there are,
I,
go ahead, because
no, I
there
just
are some guys down this next group that I love.
yeah, there's one at 50, and he's the brother of a guy that we love, that I love this week. But before we
Ah,
get there, Minwoo Lee, who's somebody that we talk about all the time. He's not going to show up on stats necessarily, but
no, not
but
at all.
he's actually been doing pretty well despite some of the stats, which is kind of crazy to think about. Um, but one thing I really like about him is he's a grinder. Like we talk a lot of times about guys that are able to grind it out, able to play in tougher conditions, especially when it relates to like wind, tougher lies, things like that. And this course has the potential to have both of those things. And so I just kind of like the possibility of Minwoo putting it all together and really being able to like weather any kind of adversity. And if you look at like what Minwoo did prior to the PGA start, he was playing really well. Won the Australian PGA, not that that's a glowing endorsement. And then he got third at the Australian Open, T15 at the DP World Tour Championship, 14th at the BMW PGA Championship on the DP World Tour, T7 at the Irish Open. I mean, it's not like this guy is not a world class baller. T6 at the Zozo. So he's got the game in there. I think this is a good opportunity for him where he doesn't have to go uber low. I think a more of a grindy setup. It's kind of like what we talk about with Kurt Kitayama. If you give the guy the right course and the right setup, some of the shortcomings in the all-around game kind of fade away and it becomes more of a
Mhm.
mental grind, which is I think the more Minwoo's game.
I think it's more of a sister's game, to be honest. I
I know you're a bigger
if we're
sister, but
if we're being real, his sister is a much better golfer relative to competition than Minwoo is. But I'm looking at this next group of guys with uh, Shane Lowry, former champion of the event, or no, he runner up 2 years ago. Kashmir Keith definitely won this tournament before, and our defending champions, 2 defending champions, 3 defending champions here at 40-1. Chris Kirk, Sungjae Im, Sepp Straka. This whole group is loaded with disrespect. How is Chris Kirk at 40-1? What make it make sense?
other than I feel like that's short.
I don't know, man. Chris Kirk looks good in my book.
I'll let you talk
Uh,
about Chris Kirk because I'm just not there this week on him. Like he's another
so
guy.
Chris Kirk, number 3 in my model. He is no worse than 46th in any stat that I ran. That's a good sign. And that was in par fours between 450 and 500, which is there's only 3 of those holes. And we're looking at third in opportunities gained, third in strokes gained par four, sixth in strokes gained tee to green, eighth in strokes gained on approach, and number 1 in proximity from 125 to 150. This guy he just looks the part on this golf course. His everything we're looking for on the golf course says that Chris Kirk should have an opportunity to repeat this year. Whether or not he does it, it just seems like the defending champion of event that isn't that much different than it was last year. I mean, you add Rory and a couple of guys, and then you move it up 2 weeks. So I must be missing something to why Chris Kirk is not getting the respect that he deserves when Keith Mitchell is okay form right now. Sung Jae's form hasn't been that good recently. Sepp Straka is a very deep sleeper here. I think Straka is a little short at 40-1, but not Chris Kirk.
I think the thing with Chris Kirk is I think everybody's romanticizing Chris Kirk, right? He wins the
Oh,
Century
for sure.
and then he proceeds to take a pretty significant downward trend. Like he hasn't gained strokes on approach in his last 3 starts. His ball striking has gone abysmal. His putting, he lost almost 5 strokes at the Genesis. Scrambling stats, no secret here. He's not the world's best scrambler to begin with. And I mean,
he's number 22 in the field.
Not the around the green scrambling, like the overall scrambling, recovery scramble, etc. Like he's not great. Like I acknowledge the defending champ piece. I think that's a bit of a one-off. I don't know that I would, without the defending champ piece, I don't know that I would say that Chris Kirk is a great course fit here.
So as much as you love our guy Rasmus Højgaard, I am afraid that he's not a great course fit. And as much as we love him and we want him to succeed because he is one of the brothers Højgaard, I think that the guy who fits this course best is right there at that same number, the Frenchman, Mathieu Pavon.
Oh, I love him.
Talk about Højgaard. I know you're on with Pavon, but I'm not quite there with Højgaard. Sell me on Rasmus because I want to believe.
So Rasmus really is mostly a DP World Tour guy, right? And so that's you can throw some shade at him for that and just say that, like, yeah, a lot of these stats are coming in easier fields, easier courses, etc. But I do think it's important to call out that, so of his 11 last starts, he has no worse than a T26. In that time, he has 5 top 10s, a second place, and then outside of the top 10s, he has 3 more T11s. So he's like absolutely demolishing the DP World Tour.
He is just like his both brothers were last year.
He's averaging 9.5 strokes gained against the field week on week over his last 10 starts. Averaging 9.5 strokes gained against the field. And he's possibly, DP aside, he's possibly the best putter in this entire field. So, and when he gets a hot hand on approach, his proximity buckets happen to be all of the landing areas we're looking at this week. This is just like a ridiculous, like, course fit situation where I'm a lot like you were with Jake Knapp last week and the all-in approach. Like, I love the outright on Knapp. I wasn't trying to bet a bunch of units like you did. Højgaard's my dude this week on that. I'd do the top 5, I'd do the top 10, and I'd do the outright. I mean, he is.
I love the confidence because we know he's got game. The dude's been him and his little brother have been crushing the DP World Tour as early 20s guys. These guys are still really young, and they got talent for days. We haven't heard much on this side of the pond about young Rasmus. Like Nikolai, he's shot up the flares already, but Rasmus is just as good as his brother. He just doesn't have the status yet. He will very soon. If he shows up well, like you say he is going to, then we're going to see both brothers Højgaard on the PGA Tour tearing it up for a long, long time because these guys are super young and super talented. But give me Mathieu Pavon over him in a betting situation. But you better believe I'm maxing out exposure in DFS on Mr. Rasmus.
Yeah, I like them both, and to be honest, I think Pavon and Højgaard are both mispriced. Like, they are.
Oh yeah,
definitely. They should be more down in that 30-1 range, in my opinion. But what I will say about Rasmus is, if you believe he's good, get this number this week, because the next few times he tees it up after he plays this week, he's going to be in that Nikolai range, and that's going to be a hell of a lot shorter. So
it's going to be a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So I'm just saying this is a really good opportunity, really good number on a guy who, if you like his brother Nikolai, who we've been betting every week, Rasmus is just as good and in some regards a little bit better. So,
So this next group has a bunch of guys who could do well, but I'm not feeling too great about. You got Alex Noren, you got Bez Wiedenhut, Alex Noren, Justin Rose, Torbjorn Olsen, and our guy, the big Siesta, who is being bet mercilessly up to 60-1 on a course that could not fit him worse from a style perspective. We're not taking the Jake Knapp bait, are we, Connor? No.
The only saving grace to Jake Knapp is his hook hook draw, whatever you want to call that
The
demonstration.
snap hook on number 3.
but one thing we did get well established is his miss is left, and if you're going to have
Yes.
a miss on this course, that would be the preferable one to have.
Yeah. Right is wet.
I will say I wouldn't blame somebody for betting Jake Knapp. It's not a horrible fit for him, and he kind of proved last week with the iron work that he really is a pretty well-rounded player.
His approach game is so hot right now.
I think one thing though is I don't always believe in like the winning hangover, but I kind of feel like this is a guy that may actually have that a little bit, just because you look at what the pressure did to him on Sunday. Like he was real bad until about the 8th hole, and then he kind of got it together. But I just don't know that the mental game is there yet for him. Not to take anything away from him. I mean, I'd be a fucking wreck too if I was in his position.
Jesus. And then going from Vedanta Vallarta to PGA National, that's the leap that I'm worried about, is the leap in difficulty. These are two different ballparks as far as difficulty goes. Bermuda greens that run fast versus paspalum that run slow. This is a whole different ball. You miss the fairways left here, and you're not going to be dunked in the pond that often, but you're going to deal with trees and bunkers and rough with bad angles. Like this course forces you to hug the right to get the best angle. And of course, if you're too far right, you're screwed. That's kind of what they want you to do, is start it on the right side so that you get a nice look at the green or the pin placement. I don't know if Jake is quite there yet, running it back to back with a lot of travel. So I'm going to go down to a guy that we've touted a bunch here that I think is a misprice for this golf course, and that's Akshay Bhatia, who has slipped to 75-1. The approach distances are salivating. If this guy can hit fairways and greens, and his short game's been much improved this year. I love Akshay Bhatia to surprise even Conor Coughlin himself. 75-1. He's too good for that.
I don't like him.
All right. Who else do you like in that range? Thomas Dietrich, Adam Schenk pops in my model. Are we going for the Schenkmeister?
No, as a matter of fact, like there isn't a whole lot down there I'm interested in. I think with Bhatia, he's another dude. Like I wouldn't fault somebody for betting him. I think what's suspect in his game is just some of the accuracy. Like that's the thing. Like he does have to show up, and he does have to have his A game going. If I had to do somebody in that 75-1 range, I would probably be taking a look at Mav McNeely, who actually is playing quite well. His driving,
hits wild because he's looking really good lately.
Right? Okay, good. I was like, there's no way he's going to tell me I'm crazy.
I noticed that when I watched the replay of the final round. It's like Mav's out there hitting darts like I've never seen him before, and of course he's an amazing putter. So you get him on a green in regulation, and you're like, he doesn't know how to react to this because he's not in this situation very often.
Yeah, it certainly isn't often anymore. But no, he's hit off the tee game's been good, approach game's been good. And we all know Mav's a hell of a putter.
Yeah.
So I would have more interest there. With Akshay, like I think Akshay absolutely, probably long term is one of the better golfers in this range, but I just don't trust him to keep that accuracy together.
All right, so I'm going to give you two guys. One guy who rates out well, in fact, number one in my model, and then another guy who we just love and may or may not be a good fit. Lucas Glover or Ryo Hisatsune. It's rough, huh? It's rough.
So
you can say both and you can say neither.
So I am so hesitant to say neither because it's going to be the week that Ryo gets it, and it's like the only week we haven't said Ryo.
And he's so talented.
For me, honestly, on my actual betting card, it's going to be neither.
Okay.
Ryo just hasn't done anything. It's not that I think that he won't. I stand firmly.
Oh, he will eventually. But it's one of the guys we don't want to miss out on. But this isn't the week where we're really worried about missing out on him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and the performance in Mexico, especially off the tee,
It was bad.
yeah, just
Really
not
bad.
great. And waste management before that was pretty abysmal too. So we're gonna cool off on Rio for a few weeks. Let him get a couple practice rounds in.
Let him see some balls drop in the fairway for once, and he'll get back on it. But right now he's ice cold. I mean, the long odds in this tournament are pretty rough. Like, this is a pretty shallow field. Honestly, we have a bunch of guys below 50-1, and then it really drops off a cliff here. Who do you like that's kind of a long shot? I mean, there's a couple guys I want to see do well, but I'm not going to be throwing very much money around at any of them.
So I have I have two, and both of them are at 200-1.
Okay.
So you can, if you got somebody in between, I'll let you go. If you don't, I'll rattle these two off. They're my last two.
I'm going to throw two names out there that I believe can do well here. Gary Woodland at 110, been playing well recently. Of course, great story. We're friend of the show, Gary Woodland. We want to see him do well. He matches up with this course extremely well with his tee to green game. Let's go with Gary Woodland and one of your guys, Justin Lauer. Those are the two guys that I'm looking at to throw a little bit on, but I'm not in love with anybody here. Camilo Villegas is getting some steam, and I just don't see it.
I actually have one that I am in love with at plus 200. I think there is something.
Can I guess?
There is something
because
not right.
There's one guy at 200-1 that popped in my model in the top 5, and it's Bud Cauley.
No, but I do have interest in Bud Cauley in DFS.
Yeah, we got a live one.
I do love Bud Cauley in DFS.
Yes.
No, it's
not betting on him.
It's so Chandler Phillips is the guy that I'm not going to talk
Wasn't
about.
He on Friends?
Yeah, same dude. But he's not like a creative player. He's a real golfer. You can just do a quick Google search on him. He's actually been playing really well. But the one that I think is a misprice, also at plus 200 or 200-1 rather, is Alexander Bjork, which is so very, very interesting that he would be down here because he is really good. Like
really accurate.
Really accurate. Hits 72% of fairways off the tee. In his last 23 starts on the DP World Tour, he has 8 top 10s in the last 12 months. Excellent at ball striking. As a matter of fact, he rated out second in this field over the last 100 rounds for that. Shots gained on approach from all the buckets we looked at. He was in the top 5 for all of those over the last 100 rounds, and that's weighing some of the DP stats as well. And his best distance happens to be 175 plus on approach, which has a 272 average off the tee is exactly where a lot of his shots are going to be coming from, 175 to 225. So all of that to say, I cannot figure out why Alexander Bjork is 200-1. I could see him much closer to 70, 60, 70, somewhere in there.
Rosie agrees with you, and the betting slips are agreeing with you because he has already jumped to 180-1.
So get that number.
Get on it right now, because after this show sees more eyeballs, it's going to go farther up, and you're going to get less and less value for a guy who's probably going to win now that you mentioned him, Alexander Bjork. Not to be confused with the singer from Scandinavia, Bjork.
That was exactly who I thought it was. I thought it was better on winning a Grammy.
Yeah. All right. So
that is a solid bet though. Like seriously, if you don't take anything,
I agree with you.
We get that one weird one every single week, and that's this one's not even weird. It's just a weird number.
Yeah. It's a weird number, and it's a guy who a lot of people have seen the name on leaderboards at various times. This is the time where you'd say, hey, remember that guy Bjork? He's going to be fine here because accuracy is such a premium here. The whole bag is such a premium, and he doesn't have any weak spots. He might not be the guy with the most upside. Like, I'm not as in love with him in the DFS circles because of his birdie making ability, but the guy's an accuracy guy. He's a grinder. and he's not going to hurt himself. He's not going to have those big numbers balloon up on the bear trap like a lot of these guys. They're going to take some chances. Bjork's going to stay steady, stay in play, and make the pars that he needs to make. This course is going to reward making par. Anything else before we try not to slam any trunks? Because neither one of us slammed trunks last week. Let's go. Jake Knapp and Sammy Valimaki.
And I beat you in DFS. So
you did.
Again. Oh, and who won our Doug Gim versus Michael Kim?
Michael Kim decided to go out on Friday after a bender of some sort because he was fine to make the cut. I believe started at -2 on Thursday. I think he was 2 shots behind Gim, who shot a 67 on Thursday. And then Gim went out and shot 69 on Friday. And Michael Kim decided to go out and shoot in the mid-70s and miss the cut. So thank you, Michael Kim, for my misplaced confidence in you to at least make the damn cut and give me a chance. So, yes, Connor, you win the prize. Yeah, I owe you a beer. I'm upset about that because Michael Kim should have been in that on that weekend. There's no excuse here.
Well, let's try not to have you slam trunks.
Hey, all I know is that Michael Kim rated out well this week again for me because he's an accuracy type player. And guess what? I ignored it. He's done. I'm done.
Dead to me. Michael Kim is dead to me.
Yep. He got one chance. All right. No trunk slams. Let's go. Where is that? There it is.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling slam.
The name of the game in DFS for PGA Tour golf is leverage. And it's going to be tricky this week because there's a lot of guys that we like that everybody else likes. And we got to be really careful. We don't want to be overexposed to guys who have volatility to them. And at the end of the day, our goal is to make the cut with as many of our 6 players in our lineups as possible, so that we have a chance to cash big on Sunday when the bill comes due. The bill comes due for all these guys. A lot of stuff is going to change. I recommend this is the week you don't check your DraftKings app at all until it's over because there's going to be some big swings. You're going to be super high, super low. It's going to be a whole episode. You're going to have a really bad time if you keep checking DraftKings this week because of how much it's going to fluctuate. But Connor, are you interested in Rory McIlroy at 12,200? He is number 1 in my model.
Same.
So you can't ignore him. You can't full fade a guy that good. But how much are you going to have of our guy Roars?
So I've got him projected at 30%, which I am not willing to get to that number. So my thing with Rory is that
30% at 12,200.
And my thing with Rory is that, like, this is the same thing we said about Tony Finau last week. At $12,000, you are literally saying that Rory McIlroy is going to win and have the highest point output. I don't believe that, so I am not going to overinvest in Rory. I will have lineups with Rory because I do think that the point value is there. And I do think the win equity is there. But do I think that he is 12,200? No, that's a crazy pricing on him, I think.
The leverage is not there. So obviously you don't want to full fade because if Rory does what Rory does, he can pay off with you and everybody else. But if you also consider the fact that if Rory doesn't have that perfect outing that you're describing, then everybody else behind him in that top tier is going to be a leverage value. And that's where I'm at, is starting with a Russell Henley or somebody like that, where, yeah, he's chalky because there's very few top golfers in this field that I'm confident are going to do well enough to pay off. but he's in that group where it's like, I'd rather sprinkle in 20% here, 20% on another guy, and then spread that exposure out with a little bit, 15, 20% Rory, 15, 20% Henley, 15, 20% Rasmus Højgaard, a little bit cheaper. And you're saying, hey, if Rory doesn't do it, then I'm in the money because I'm not going down with that entire Titanic wreckage that is that 30% number that's taking up 1/5 of your bankroll, of your balance. Your salary is going to be taken up by one guy. That's a really steep proposition.
And we'll have to carve out more time next week to talk about the new DraftKings pricing structure, because I don't think that people realize what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And what you just said is a really critical point. Like, Rory now becomes 1/5 of your total, like, possible point output. Previously,
he's worth 1.5 golfers now.
Yeah. Previously, he was like a 6th, maybe depending on the field. Now he is firmly
20%.
Yeah. So it's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I will say this, Russell Henley, I love that starting spot. I got him projected around 16%. We have already talked about how well he rates out. Win equity is really high. His weighted value in this field is super high. So I really enjoy Russell Henley at 10-2 as a starting point. The guy that I have a ton of interest in, and I think I'm probably going to get burnt doing this, but Matthew Fitzpatrick makes sense. Makes a lot of sense here, and he's projected at 8%. So the cool thing about starting Fitzy is I've only got to have maybe a couple of lineups that are Fitz to be heavy against the field. So definitely do a couple 2, 3, 4 lineups if you're doing 10 of Fitzy and get over the field, because it's really easy to do. So
I agree. I hate to agree with Fitz, but off the tee, he's absolutely nails on hitting fairways, and he's a great iron player when it comes to that 125 to 175 range that we're kind of falling into on this golf course. And he's another guy that prepares so thoroughly for every golf tournament that he's going to be ready to avoid all of the hazards here. This place is the whole course is a bear trap. It's not just those 3 holes on the front 9 and back 9. It's the whole course is asking you to take chances and saying, but if you mess up one little detail while you're taking those chances, you are absolutely screwed. And Matt Fitzpatrick is very selective at taking those chances. And when he makes risky plays, he's already counted out every possible situation, and he knows what he's doing. I like that Fitzpatrick pick, especially at 8%. That's extreme leverage at 10,600.
And what I like most about it is, to kind of segue into the sub 10, is I can go Fitzy Cole and not have to worry about the Cole chalk because I'm so leveraged at the top of Fitz. And I really, 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 really want Cole in a lot of my lineups. And he's projected around about 23%. So to get over on the field, probably going to have to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 35% ownership of Cole to really make an impact. But like I said, that Fitz piece allows you to be a little bit different right off the jump, and then playing a little Cole chalk doesn't hurt you as bad.
Right. And I'm interested in pretty much everybody in that 9s range. So I'm going to have a mix and match approach to the 9s. Of course, I'm going to have some Cole. I'm going to have some of the postman with how he's playing. Sung Jae plays well here because he's such an accurate player. But the recent form for Sung Jae makes me a little leery about getting over my skis on him. Of course, I want the scoring ability of Min Woo Lee here. Ben on, 10% Ben on, just because he's priced appropriately here. The sportsbook gave him way too much credit, but I think 9,500 is a tip top, but within range for what he could do here. Chris Kirk, 9,400, defending champion. As long as he's not more than 20%, which I don't think he is, we're looking at Chris Kirk getting 15%. I'm okay with that. Yeah, give me 15% Chris Kirk, because I know he's going to pay off with 95 to 105 points in DFS. And I want to have him in lineups because he's underpriced for what he can do here. The whole nines group is great, and except for Corey Connors, if you're playing Corey Connors here, you made a mistake because he has no short game whatsoever. So yes, if he is absolutely nails Corey Connors from tee to green, he might have a chance. But this guy does not avoid bogeys. He does not scramble. He does not play out of bunkers. And this is just the worst fit possible for a guy like Corey Connors because the mistakes he does make are exponentially compounded at a course like PGA National.
Yeah, and there's too much value going down. I mean,
if
you're at Corey Connors, just save yourself the pain and agony and go down to Pavone and save yourself $400.
Go to Sepp Straka, go to Rasmus Højgaard, go to Bo Hostler, go to Denny McCarthy, who scrambles his ass off.
Take some shots at Jake Knapp if you want to. I mean,
right. You know he's going to score points. He might blow up in a burst into flames here, but
projected he's 3% rostership. Like, yeah, I might take some shots at Jake.
That seems fun. That seems like I want to feel something. I'm going to get goosebumps if Jake Knapp makes the cut here because he's got the firepower. If the pressure's off of him, then like you make the cut as Jake Knapp and you have all these other guys around you make the cut with you. There's no pressure on you unless he goes into Sunday with another 4-shot lead. Jake Knapp is going to be in his element.
Yeah, and I mean, all these guys are playable, like for real. Like what I would agree on is I probably wouldn't get over invested in Connors. I can see in a perfect world
zero
the
Canadian Connors.
I could see it, but no, honestly, for me in this range, and this is the range that I think a lot of weeks are won and lost on. It's Pavone, it's Højgaard, and then getting down towards the bottom of it. I probably have a little bit of interest in maybe going back to Olesen, who was kind of a darling last week. And his ownership is like non-existent this week. So
Isn't that great? Isn't that great?
Those are probably the three that I'm
7,700 for a guy.
That was
7,700 for Thorbjorn Olesen.
Yeah. So that's probably where I'm at in that range though.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm probably going full fade on all Canadians. No offense to anybody watching. The loonies are usually my favorites, but this place eats loonies for lunch. Honestly, the Bermuda track seems to trip them up. The Florida swing has not been kind to Canadians over the years, really. It's rough, and Olesen's a great one. And as you go into the sevens farther, there's other guys that I'd like to play here, like Adam Schenk down 7,200. But just skipping through, Ricky Fowler. Come on, Ricky, show us something. This is the kind of course where Ricky Fowler should do well. It's a grinder course that rewards accurate play. His scrambling has been so bad, though. What is going on with Ricky Fowler?
Yeah, I don't know. One of our listeners sent me what they like to call a pre-show lineup, and I was looking at it, and it had Fowler in it, and I was like, I didn't want to shoot it down right away, but like, I just can't find a reason to play him. Like, he could put it together, but you could say that about damn near anybody in this field. I'm just not seeing it right now, so I'm probably not getting there on Fowler
until further notice. And I feel the same way about Eric Van Rooyen as I do about Corey Connors. I'm just full fading because avoiding trouble is, let's just say, not his forte.
He was in the optimal last week. I will say that
he was.
And so I think I know when it's time for me to cash out. I had a good run with Van Rooyen, and I think it's time to.
This would be your knees would be trembling if you were like ready to play him again this week, right?
Yeah, I'll be moving on from EVR. We'll see him this time next year again. I'll jump back on, but
so you got Schenk, Glover, and McNeely down the low sevens. Doug Gim, I'm not going to press my luck on him either. Thomas Dietrich is way underpriced here.
I'll have some
Thomas Dietrich is 6,900. What the hell happened?
So I think with Dietrich, it's just maybe a bit of recency bias mixed with the fact that like his approach game has really taken a turn for the worse overall tee to green has suffered because of it. Like, he was on a pretty good run, and I think he recovers, but this is again another course where I don't necessarily think this is like a get right situation. So I don't know that you're going to return value on him. I have him as like the 41st worst projected point proposition.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. Not that 41 is bad. It makes the cut, but if he was at like the new low tier, which is about 5,900, then 41st in points makes sense.
So Horschel obviously is a Bermuda dominant player, but he's been playing so terribly lately that I can't do it. Akshay Bhatia, I'm of course playing, at least part of my crew here.
Rostership is low too on him, surprisingly.
Okay, good. Another sneaky one is are both two sneaky ones here. Justin Suh, who has the tee to green game, and our guy, Mr. Putts the lights out, Sammy Valimaki. He's a thick boy like us.
Oh, I hate that you hyped it that way. I hate him here.
I know, but I just want to feel he's only 6,600.
So
and I know the pricing's different, but that's still a great value on a guy who's playing well.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Valimaki. First off, my play in here, and we don't need to take a ton of time on it. Carson Young at 6,700 is my favorite play in that range. Okay. He's just been doing well. So I have a very like fundamental reason not to play Sammy Valimaki, and that's his miss is always right. And it's very high.
He blocks it out there.
Very high block right on a course that is gonna punish you when you miss right, on a course that is known to at least get some wind throughout the day. Mm-hmm. This is just not a good setup for him. I am gonna be hammering him in DFS as frequently as possible. Loved what I saw out of him. He definitely backed up some of the hype from the World Tour results we looked at. So I'm a big fan. And to your point, yeah, he's a big boy like we are. So, and he's just got such a cool, chill vibe on the course. But this is probably as close to a horrible fit as he's going to see all year.
I'm glad you talked me out of it. All right, so going down further, Justin Lauer 6,400 seems like a misprice here. Bjork 6,500, another one we talked about. Sam Stevens gets a little run for me here. I mean, we have a comment here asking. Bjork? I said Bjork.
Just you did? Okay. Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Jesus. And the comment is about our second favorite Australian, Aaron Baddeley, at 6,100. You like how we framed that?
Yeah, that's the only way to frame that. Go
ahead. I don't know about Baddeley. He's a good putter, but tee to green game is pretty rough, like really rough.
Yeah, I'm still scrolling, trying to figure out.
You're trying to find him, right?
Yeah. Top 20. Top 20 on Baddeley.
No, I can't do it.
I can't do it either, man. I'm sorry. I hope you're. I don't recognize the name yet, so if you're first time, please come back. I'm not trying to knock your question, but I can't.
Let's give him a pivot. So we said all these bad things about Canadians, but we didn't talk about one of the hottest Canadians on the planet down here, Ben Silverman, at 6,000 flat. I'd play him over Aaron Baddeley.
Yeah, and I would be more inclined to do a top 20 on Silverman as well. Silverman actually was playing sneaky good last week too.
He was there all the way to the end.
But in that range, like I said, Alexander Bjork is going to be probably even, if not the same, a little bit deeper based on what we're looking at. And I have confidence that Bjork will be in the top 20. I think Bjork can win. So that would be, if you're looking for a top 20 bet. With long odds, I'd say Bjork is a really good one to run out.
Yep. And you got Chandler Phillips here, 5,900. Another guy down here, 5,500. I mentioned the name. Our guy, you know it, Bud Cauley.
This is kind of like the Michael Kim thing, though, or Anthony Kim thing, right? Like we've got some good vibes and good memories of Bud Cauley, but he really hadn't done much yet. But I do
He
think
models well here.
models well here, and I think that it's the same type of archetype, same type of setup as what we're dealing with Daniel Berger. You take a year or two out of competitive play, recovering from from what I understand, very similar injuries. And so I think Bud Colley, I think that's a really solid to make the cut proposition. I think he fills out a lineup pretty nice at that price point. And I think we're going to continue to like get some good value out of Bud Colley, who apparently is going to be under the radar a bit.
Nice. I'd love to see it. I kind of have a thing for another Frenchman, not just Pavone, but Paul Barjon. Seems to pop up in these types of events where you're not going to get crazy scoring, and you're going to see guys who are just accurate, kind of hang around longer. Paul Barjon seems to do that at these types of events, so I'll have a little bit of sprinkle of Paul Barjon in DFS down at 5,100. Hey, Mondo, thank you. Mondo Angelucci. That's a great Italian name.
I was gonna say, I hope that's his real name, because that is awesome.
It's outstanding.
Yeah, come back and see us if you're still in the chat. Come back and see us next week. Good question too.
Yeah. All right. So who's winning this damn thing, and what's the final score?
I would say, I think I'm gonna go Bjork, man. I think.
Oh my God.
I kind of, well, hold on. Let me
talking himself into the longest of long shots.
No, all right. I'm gonna go Højgaard. I'm gonna go
Rasmus Højgaard.
Yeah,
okay.
Rasmus Højgaard.
Rasmus, don't call me Nikolai Højgaard.
Yep, and I like. I'll go 16 under.
All right, so I am gonna go with last year's runner-up, Eric Cole.
You son of a bitch. I did not see that coming.
You didn't see that coming? I was about to say Chris Kirk's going back-to-back because I think they're both going to be there. But I think Eric Cole's pissed off that he didn't win last year in the playoff, and he knows his way around this golf course, and he's playing well enough to do it. So that's where I'm going to go.
I don't want to dog Cole, so our beer bet for the week, Højgaard over Kirk.
Oh, yeah. If you want to take that, I'll take that.
All right.
That's
first round
solid.
leader,
defending champion. First round leader. I'm gonna go with our boy, the Irishman, Shane Lowry.
Ooh, I like that one. I think I'm gonna go Bjork there. Actually,
that's a good one. I like that placement for him. Like, hey, just right off the bat on Thursday, look what Connor did. I think that'd be good. Because the odds have got to be incredible for him to be the first round leader.
And I think it's really possible. Like, I think that's a huge misprice, like I keep saying. So, anyways.
All right. Well, next week we have Puerto Rico. And what else are we doing next week?
I'll still be on the show, but I will be in sunny South Carolina watching the men's NCAA tournament at Colleton River at my parents' house.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's going to be miserable. I might get to play some golf, so I'll have if nothing else, I'll have some stories Tuesday night.
I'm going to try to get our guy Kurt Kitayama to record the intro for the Arnold Palmer Invitational in 2 weeks. Ooh. Since he's the defending champion, and that's the 1 year anniversary of the shot call heard around the world, 250-1. So I'm gonna try to nail that down in the next couple of weeks so we can get his face on the show, at least to introduce and, of course, shout out NorCal. So
does he knows how much we like him, right?
Yeah, I've sent him every show for the last year and a
half. That's the restraining order that came in the mail. Okay.
Cease and desist.
Trying to figure that out.
All right. From everybody, Connor, thanks. Thanks to everybody in attendance. Make sure you like and subscribe. This has been the 19th hole. Let's hit the drop.